Sweet home, Santa Barbara, where the skies are so blue. Sweet home, Santa Barbara, what's worked for me can work for you.
Welcome, friends, to another episode of Sweet Home Santa Barbara. I'm your co-host, Jonathan Robinson. I'm with my co-host, friend, and realtor,
Scott Williams.
And we have an interview today, Scott, of somebody who you know very well. I barely know at all, but he has an interesting bio. It's Shaun Tomson. He's a leadership and change management expert and lectures widely on the CODE method, which is a high impact program that activates the power of purpose to improve motivation, engagement, and performance. And as an entrepreneur, Shaun founded Solo to market leading international clothing brands and is the author of 3 #1 Amazon bestselling books on self-empowerment. He's a world surfing champion. He's been described as one of the greatest surfers of all time and is recognized as one of the founders of professional surfing. He's a powerful method of self-transformation has been used by over 1 million people to create profound life change. Well, welcome to Sweet Home Santa Barbara, Shaun.
Oh, it's great. It's great to be on the show. It's wonderful to be on a Santa Barbara-centric show.
Yeah. And you live in Montecito, right?
Yes, I've lived in Montecito for about 27 years. I'm originally from a place called Durban, South Africa. And I live here with my beautiful wife, Carla. We've been married for 37 years. We have a 14-year-old son at La Colina School, which we love. And we recently sold, a couple of years ago in Montecito, they bought another just around the corner in Montecito. And I'm hoping to share this wonderful story with you a little bit later.
Yeah, it's you don't get many surfing champions that become real estate successful. And I'm wondering how that transition happened. What was that like?
Well, I'm not in the real estate market. I'm just a homeowner. But wonderful experience that came out of a negative experience, which I've discovered is often the case. You know, we live our lives through this lens of duality. And often the worst things can be a pathway to something great. Grief can be a pathway to joy. Despair can be a pathway to hope. So we lived in Montecito for many years. I came here, I was hired by Patagonia in the mid-90s to run their apparel division, their sportswear division. I'd been in the apparel business all my life. While I'd had my surfing career, I was competing around the world. I also started a brand called Instinct, which became very popular, which I ultimately sold. And then when I moved here, I worked for Patagonia for a couple of years. And then my wife and I started a new company. I left there after 2 years, had a wonderful experience working there, which I'm hoping to touch on, which has a lot of relevance to people that are in the real estate sector. But anyway, we bought our home in 1996 when we, shortly after we arrived, and we lived in it for many, many years. And then I decided to sell. During COVID, especially in 21, the market was so frothy and so effervescent that we decided to sell it. And we sold it through a wonderful agent, Crystal Clark here from Berkshire. It was a really good experience. It was quite a complicated deal, and I don't really want to go into the complexities of it, but certainly I think it was one of the more complex deals she might have had to undergo. Anyway, sold our house. We were very happy, and for a number of months we just checked out and we moved into a little condo on the beach. It's called El Escorial. It's a wonderful place. They have all sorts of tennis courts and swimming pools. And we just would walk the dog every night along Cabrillo Boulevard and just kind of kicking back, enjoying the Santa Barbara lifestyle. And then a friend of mine who was a big-time hedge fund guy in New York said, "Shaun, you've got to get back in the market. You've got to get back in the market." So I said, "No, the market has become so effervescent, it's become red hot. And I think we priced ourselves out of Montecito. And he said, you can get back in the market. So we looked around at Montecito, it was just outrageous. I mean, prices, we thought we had sold at the absolute top of the market, but prices were still on sort of a Vandenberg rocket trajectory. So, we looked around the entire area of Santa Barbara, San Roque, Riviera, by the Mission. Saw some very nice homes, but every single home at that time was in great demand, and it was cash deals, $400,000-500,000 over the asking. It was sort of an untenable situation.
Crazy.
So I said to my wife, man, it's impossible. We weren't even looking in Montecito because Montecito had gone ballistic. So I'm driving with my son, who was 12 at the time, my son Luke. And he said, Dad, let's check this road out. We were right by our old house. We were 400 yards from our old house. And he said, let's check out this little lane. It's a lane off Hot Springs Road that I have driven by for 28 years, and I've never driven down it. It's called Palm Tree Lane. It's just this beautiful little private lane. So we drive down Palm Tree Lane with my son, with no reason other than we just want to check the lane out. And also, if people are not in the Montecito real estate market, they need to be aware that you're not allowed to have a for sale sign up outside a home in Montecito. The only time you can have a for sale sign up is if you're showing an open house. So the only people who know what's for sale are the agents, unless someone's doing a private sale. So we drive down this little private road that's got about 8 or 9 homes on it with a beautiful big palm tree right in the middle of it. And we drive down to the bottom of the hill. And I think this is a wonderful, not so much a lesson, but it's an interesting way that every single real estate agent might think about operating. So we drive down to the bottom of the hill, and I see a U-Haul truck parked outside a home. And I go, oh, wow, that's kind of interesting. And we look at the home from the car, and it's a beautiful little cottage, beautiful, like a magical fairy cottage. So I drive out of the road, and I'm driving home, and my wife's in Galita, and I phone her and I go, hi, we just drove down this beautiful little lane. It's called Palm Tree Lane. She said, I love that lane. When we moved here, I wanted us to buy a home in Palm Tree Lane. She said, were there any homes for sale? I went, I don't know whether there were any homes for sale. So there's no for sale signs I want to see that. She said, did you knock on any doors? It's my wife. Did you knock on any doors? This is how my wife looks at life. Eh? I said, of course I didn't knock on any doors. That's not me. That's not the kind of person I am. She said, I want to go straight back there right now. We drove all the way out. Peter picked her up, forged our way through this amazing traffic that we have now at 5 o'clock when you're going south on the 101. And we drive down the road. And I said, this is a little home we saw. She jumps out of the car, walks straight up and knocks on the door. No answer. She walks around the house, looks in and goes, wow. Then she drives up the hill, and she's a woman standing outside her yard. And she rolls up and goes, hi, I'm Carla Thompson. My wife's a very beautiful, very warm woman. Hi, I'm Carla Thompson. And the woman goes, I know who you are. It turns out they have common friends. And Carla says, are there any homes for sale here? So the woman goes, her name is Kathy. Well, there might be a home next door. She said, the woman is here. It was her mom's home. Her mom passed away some time ago, didn't pass away in the home. She's the executive of the estate. Let me connect you up right now. She picks up her phone. She phones up the woman. And the woman says, how did these people know my home was for sale? Because I'm listing it tomorrow. She said they were just driving by. She said, did an agent tell them about the home? Is that why they had? She said, no, they just happened to be driving by. She said, okay, well, I'll meet the Thompsons at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. She said, I have some meetings at 11, but I will meet the Thompsons at 8 o'clock in the morning. 8 o'clock in the morning, I go there, take our son Luke, and I take a little doggy and meet this woman, this wonderful woman, and she shows us around this magical little house, a small house, but just beautiful. And she takes my wife inside, and she says to her, "Do you know this is your house?" My wife says, "What do you mean this is our house?" She said, "I looked up on Google because the woman next door told me your husband was a famous surfer." She said, "And I saw who you were, and I read your story. And I read about you both losing your 15-year-old son, Matthew, on the 24th of April. She said, "I have a son, Matthew, and he's born on the 24th of April. She said, "And as you drove up," she said, "I planted these roses outside the kitchen with my mom, the first rose of spring bloom." She said, "This is your house." She showed me the appraisal. We did a handshake deal, and a month later, it was our house. So, what's the moral of that story? One is that knock on the door, baby. Knock on a door and keep your eyes open. And if you see you will try, do some investigation. Because it would have been so easy for me to go, "No, I don't really want to go back there." No, you know. But my wife she just had a feeling. And also, there's a world beyond our understanding. There's a spirit world out there. And this is a very, very powerful world. And I believe that people that open themselves up to this world live a better, happier, and more meaningful life. And I have had so many instances of the spirit world coming through into this world that we live in on a day-to-day basis. In fact, if you want to have an amazing moment of connecting to the spirit world, all you need to do is walk down the beach at Hammond's Reef, look out at that beautiful horizon, feel the beautiful Pacific Ocean, and then walk up Shalawa Meadow, which is dedicated to the Shemesh people. And in the middle of Shalawa Meadow, there's a beautiful memorial dedicated to the Shemesh with 2 dolphin and figurines on it. And it says, "The sacredness of the land lies in the mind of its people. This land is dedicated to the spirit and the memory of the ancestors and their children." So spirit from 13,500 years ago and today connects us. It's just together.
A nice story. I'm curious, you were obviously a world-class surfer.
World champion. Number one.
World champion.
I'm joking.
World class. World champion.
You can see the competitive fire is sort of still there. I keep it very subdued, but every now and then it has to come out somewhere now.
Yeah. And then you became, what did you do after that career, so to speak, was starting to wind down?
So during my professional career, when I was about 24 years old, I started my first company called Instinct Sportswear. Mm-hmm. I want to tell you another story. I'll tell you an interesting story about Instinct as well. So anyway, I started the company when I was 24. We grew it into an international company. We sold in 13 countries. We had hundreds of employees. And I ended up sponsoring other surfers who were my competitors who became world champions. In fact, I sponsored 3 world champions, 2 world champions, 3 world championships to guys I was competing against. The one year, one of the kids I mentored and sponsored won, and I was second. I'd been leading the whole year, and he just pipped me at the post. So I had my brand Instinct, and that was, that occupied a lot of my time while I was competing as well. Also, I was studying at the time, which was pretty hard to do. I went to, my undergrad was business administration and economics, and then ultimately I did a master's. I was very fascinated with leadership, but that was after my pro career was over, and then worked at Patagonia for a couple of years after I retired, and then my wife and I started our brand called Solitude. She's a very, very talented designer, and we sold that brand in all sorts of shops Saks, Barney's, Nordstrom's, Bloomingdale's, plus surf shops, outdoor stores. We made absolutely beautiful clothing. We sold that to a big publicly traded company in 2005. And then my life changed when my wife and I lost our beautiful son, Matthew, when he was 15 and a half in 2006. So that was the sort of turning point. And I went down a different path then. I really went down a path of igniting purpose, showing people how purpose can be profound mover and can really help transform their lives. This notion of committing to aims that are meaningful to yourself and to the broader world. You're doing something beyond profit, sales, and growth with your life, uplifting others, uplifting yourself, trying to help people. So now I've spoken to over 1 million people, speak to hundreds of thousands of school kids, schools, universities, prisons, spoken a number of times up here at Santa Barbara County Jail, rehab clinics, some of the best universities in the world. I regularly lecture at Kellogg Northwestern Business School. And then, 2 weeks ago, was shortly after I spoke, Scott, to all of you at Berkshire, I got a call from the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration, and from the Santa Barbara County Sheriff. They were doing a joint conference. And he said, Shaun, I want you to come and talk. And I said, well, who's the audience? He said, it's parents that have lost children to fentanyl and relatives of children who've been lost to fentanyl. And I said, well, why do you want me to speak? He said, sure, because you give people hope. And that's what I do, I believe. I give people hope and purpose through just telling stories. And, stories are the best way, I think, to touch people's hearts. I think it's the best way to connect deeply with people and to have people perhaps maybe look at their perspective through your perspective. And like you heard, Scott, my stories are very simple, very, very simple. And then everyone writes their code, which is this 12 lines. Every line begins with, I will. It's like writing down your mantra. I believe it's a way that you identify your purpose in the context of 12 simple lines. I will pray. I will have faith. I will be a better father. And it was beautiful to see what everyone at Berkshire shared. They shared beautiful, amazing statements. And when people share these statements, it creates connectivity. It creates this engagement with one's purpose and with one another. And even though real estate agents are independent entrepreneurs, essentially, yes, they might work under a big umbrella, but if they don't go out and do a deal, they ain't gonna be paid. So, they are really very, very goal-driven. Like goal and purpose are different. And it was wonderful to see how imbued with purpose all those people were in that audience by seeing the beautiful statements, by seeing the beautiful words that they wrote.
It was wonderful to be in the audience when a couple of hundred people were doing answering those 12 questions. And you can feel, there's about 10 minutes of silence, but it's not silence. The room is really bubbling energetically while people are looking at the grace and the challenge and the resilience and the lessons of their lives, and they're putting them into some words. This is something I know that Jonathan has awareness of helping people to figure out things in their lives. Actually, having done that exercise, I'd like to ask a question about that exercise. I have my code right here in my hands. I wrote mine down. I still have mine in front of me. And I think about putting my hands on the levers of my life. And yet when I have these statements here, I have to go out the next day and like make something happen with them. It doesn't seem to me like it's just entirely automatic because I know where I want to go, that I'm going to get where I want to go. So what do you have to say about that?
So, I mean, I absolutely agree with you, Scott. It takes effort, and above all, it takes commitment. That's why I have mine. You know, I wrote, and I explained in the talk, I wrote mine 20 years ago to inspire a group of children that were coming down to Rincon Beach because it was faced with an environmental problem. And so I mean, I carry my little code around with me in my wallet that I wrote so long ago. And, you know, I read my words, and, you know, I believe that the words that transform us are not the words of inspiring figures. Yes, those words inspire us, whether it's Mahatma Gandhi, JFK, Obama, MLK. The words that transform us are our own words. Now, here's some of the words that the Berkshire team wrote. I will sacrifice. I will praise and encourage people. I will pay it forward. I'll be patient and forgiving. And these were lines that I shared. I will tell 5 people daily something nice, something kind. I will forgive you. Now, that is a big statement. That is an unbelievably cathartic and big statement. I will be the best possible role model to my kids. No one writes, I will hit my third quarter goals. No one writes, I will do 500 million in sales. People look inside themselves. I will dream crazy, wild dreams for my family's future. I will always have empathy. You know what I feel when I see those lines coming across the screen? It's like, if I close my eyes, I just feel like everyone is holding hands and they're raising the temperature of that room. You can feel that power. And I say to you, I truly believe that when people write their codes, write their purpose, they write in spirit language. And I mentioned that, the dean of an ancient Hawaiian school in Hawaii, it's the wealthiest school in the world, said to me that you speak in spirit language. How cool is that?
Shaun, I'm also a motivational speaker, and we've spoken to a lot of the same companies. I find that the weak link for most people, besides they don't necessarily have their target or code, is that they don't have a way to be consistently motivated. And whether you want to be successful in real estate or life or as a father or as a human being, it requires some consistent motivation. How do you help people in that regard?
You know, I encourage people to you spend 15 minutes collectively in a group. So there's been effort there. And now you verbally stated your commitments to your peer group. So there's accountability there as well. So I encourage people, once you've written your code, print it out. If people go to my website, it's free. You can download the worksheet. Just go to ShaunTomson.com. You can download the worksheet and put it up. Put it up on your computer. Put it in your wallet. But this is a reminder of what you have promised yourself. So you made yourself essentially 12 promises. So if you put that up somewhere where you can see it on a daily basis, I think it's going to create that ongoing, like you say, that consistent, committed motivation. Like, I will be a better father. If you've got it right there, and what I encourage a lot of people to do, print the worksheet and do it with your family. And that way, when you do it in a family setting, say mom and dad and children, and everyone writes their code together and then stands up and they read the 12 lines to one another, it creates this amazing walls, this commitment, but also it does create this accountability. So I think accountability is an important part of this this process. It was interesting, when I At the end of my talk at Berkshire, I asked people to text one word that you're going to take home with you. And most often the word is hope and purpose. So it was interesting with Berkshire, the two most popular words, because those are the larger words that I form a word cloud, were grace and open. And who would have expected a group of the best real estate agents on the West Coast that sell in this high-end luxury market? One would not expect grace and open. You see, there's this font and well of spirituality and warmth in all sectors.
It's real obvious to me that this is a work of love for you. You love your audience.
I love it, Scott.
You're loving them into making some commitments.
I do. I actually love what I do. I think I have one of the best jobs in the world. I love what I'm doing. A few days ago, I was speaking to 200, maybe 300 doctors at a doctors convention. 2 days ago, I was speaking to Edwards Life Sciences, to the top 80 leadership group, from around the world, from all these different countries, multi-billion dollar company. I speak to all sorts of defense companies. And I love it. I truly love what I do, because, when I had my terrible loss, my wife and I, when we lost our beautiful, beautiful son, and we lost our son, he played a dangerous game that he heard about at school, and all these kids were playing it. But it was choice. So that's when I went down a path that I went, what can I do? One guy, what can I do to influence and inspire people to make a better choice? And how are they going to make a better choice? They're going to be committed. And they're going to be committed through their code. They're going to be motivated through their code. They're going to be empowered through their code. They're going to make promises to themselves, and they're going to get group support because it creates engagement. So they're not going to be on this planet by themselves. And, it really, this is really evidence to me when I ask people at the end, and if you remember, I said, send one line from your code, from your 12, that's about being better. Because this is one half, as I've observed over the million people I've done this with, this is one half of the meaning and purpose of life. So I will inspire. I will always show grace. I will lift up others. I will live through hope, not fear. This is what your group, as I'm just looking from the database, I will never stop learning. So one half of our life is we want to be better. I want to be better today than we were yesterday. I want to be better tomorrow. I will be vulnerable. I will never forget that I'm the creator of my life. I will be loyal. I will be present. These are very beautiful, very beautiful. I'll be brave and challenge myself. So that's about being better. Then, set one line from your code beginning with I will. That's about helping others be better. I'll make a difference. I will be patient with others' difficulties. I will lead by lifting others. I will lead by example. And this is people aren't writing into this question. Remember, you've already got the answer, Scott. You're just picking your most resonant line that describes helping others be better. I'll continue to make an impact on children. I will accept your love. I will look for inspiration in others. I really do, Scott. I really love what I do.
Well, one of the things this is, you told the story of how you found your home in Montecito. So I guess somewhere built into that, being a real estate agent and looking out at that world is like go out and knock on somebody's door and be open to the possibilities. That's,
So you can,
I think there's managers over more than 30 years of my career have said repeatedly that that's what a real estate agent should go out and do. So
here's another surfing metaphor that I think can apply to life and to business. And I told you the story about having this dreadful wipeout in very big surf in Hawaii. And I thought this wave was going to kill me, and I got washed in, and I was lying on my board deciding what to do in the middle of like the biggest surfing competition in the world during the final. And I was 19 years old, and I'd never ridden the break before. It was just a harrowing experience. I was terrified. And I had to make the decision. What do you do? Do you paddle in, or do you paddle back out? And, it's like, I'm sure in the real estate business, there's many times you don't get the listing, you don't get the deal, it falls out of escrow. What you going to do? You're going to sit at home and cry about it, or you're going to paddle out for the next wave? There is that level of aggression one has to have in commitment. But also combined with that is hope, because only by paddling back out can you get the next wave. And but then there's another metaphor that I also think really applies very well to whether it's real estate or whether it's finance or whether it's defense industry or well-being, healthcare, whatever. It's I will take the drop with commitment. Spoke about riding at the Banzai Pipeline, the world's most dangerous wave, and how I was just terrified. I couldn't bring myself to paddle over the edge because I was too scared. And then I made the commitment. I'm gonna take that drop with commitment and just paddle it. All I did was take 3 more strokes. And from a metaphorical perspective, is sometimes you try. Still got to give it. Got to give it 3 more. It's when I talk about, it's so simple, but it's very. I think it's very fundamental. And I found that people like stories of the sea and the ocean and the turbulence and the uncertainty, but people also, I think, enjoy simplicity because life's so damn complicated today. And I try to sort of live in that world of suggesting. A lot of people say, "Hey, Shaun, but it's so simple," and I go, "Yes, it is simple." What I talk about is really simple. I talk about courage and commitment. I talk about hope and optimism. I talk about connectivity, and ultimately, I'll talk about hope and purpose. So it's really simple. My subject matter is simple. Like you asked me, Jonathan, like, what do I talk about? I said, I only have one subject really, and that's purpose.
And Shaun, how do you get people in touch with their purpose? What helps in that regard?
There's many interventions, and I'm sure there's many psychologists and psychiatrists and professors at different universities that have different theories. I have one intervention, and it's simple, and it's been proven to have interesting effects, and that's pick up a sheet of paper, spend 15 minutes, write 12 lines, every line beginning with "I will," and put that up somewhere where you can see it, so you can follow it, so it gives you commitment, motivation, so you can sustain that promise, those 12 promises that you made to yourself. You're saying, I'll be a better father. You bloody better be a better father. Well, I'll be a better spouse. You bloody better be a better spouse, because you're going to be breaking a promise with yourself.
Mm-hmm. And do you have people do that in different areas of life or with any guidance, or is it really they just come up with 12?
They just come up with 12. I don't know why I chose 12, but when after I lost my son and I went back to grad school to study influence and inspiration, the art of influence and inspiration, which is leadership, I would look through the behavioral science and behavioral change literature, and the different theories of motivation and determination, and the one program that most professional psychiatrists, psychologists poo-poo which is the greatest behavioral change program known to mankind, which is the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I didn't really know about it, but mine's 12. And when people fill in their 12, it's about faith. A lot of the lines are about God and faith and family. And it's not too dissimilar from, I suppose, 12 steps, because our will is about the future, our will is about change, our will is about commitment, our will is about power, our will is about hope. So those words are very, they're like action words. It's not maybe, or I want to, or I am. It's like I will. It's like power. I get kids, when I talk to kids in like auditorium, I have thousands of kids, and I go, I will equals power. I go, I will equals what? Power. And they go, I will power, 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 power. And it's great to see that word thundering across an auditorium, because kids are faced with so many choices every day. So many kids are dying of fentanyl. So many kids are getting involved with bad stuff on social media. And this is a way to create this power, the self-esteem. The very, very first line of code I got back, because I'd had my service code, and then I bought a book out called Service Code. And then when the book was out, the headmaster at a local school here in Santa Barbara, Anacapa School, asked me to speak in front of his students. He said, Shaun, I've got a very small school, 80 students. He said, well, I'd love you to come and speak. So when I was speaking to them, I said, Service Code's my code. What about all of you writing your own codes? 12 lines, every line begins with I will, write it in 15 minutes. And the very first code I got back, so you must remember, this is 6 months after I've lost my son. With words from a young girl, I will be myself. And then the other words from the kids, I will not compromise on my morals to fit in with others. I'll be kind. Just beautiful words. I went, this is amazing. So I immediately wrote another book around that. And it was called The Code, The Power of Our Will. And it was aimed at kids, aimed at being a framework for positive decision making. As much as surfing's inspired me, and then I think I've inspired people, they've inspired me too. So it's there to, this different stuff. It's like inspiration's collaborative. It's not like one-way traffic. It's not like you're a speaker standing up there and it's going to the audience, but it's coming back to me, I think, tenfold.
Yeah, I experience that a lot too.
Yeah, you get the vibe. So I wanted to tell you one other thing, Scott, that I think your people in real estate might appreciate. So I had my brand Instinct, and I sold it when I retired from the tour, and I call it Instinct because the best moments in surfing are when you're riding inside the tube. That's what I was known for in surfing. It's just an amazing experience of time and space. And the best tubes happen when you're operating on instinct, when your mind's clear, when you're in a state of flow. So after I sold the company, went through, changed hands a few times. Ultimately, it was acquired by the largest apparel company in the Southern Hemisphere, a massive multi-billion-dollar company. And they ran it for many years. And then last year, I emailed the CEO. And I said, hi, Shaun Tomson here. I was quite a well-known athlete in South Africa during my period, 70s, 80s. And I said, might you be interested in selling Instinct? The very next day, I get an email back from him. He said, Shaun, I would love to return the brand back to its original roots. I want to thank you for the work that you've done with young people around the world. All I ask is that you give a percentage of sales to a worthy nonprofit, and I'm suggesting the 9 Mile Project in Cape Town. And I wrote him back. I said, I'm already a contributor to 9 Mile Project. I already have done a number of events for them. And we did a deal, and he gave me back my old brand. Now, you must remember, this was the number 1 brand in the 80s in South Africa, the number 1 brand in the country. And the biggest apparel company in the country gives it back to me. I want to thank you for the work you've done for young people. I mean, you know, when I was at Patagonia, Yvonne Chenard used to have these little philosophy sessions with the crew. And he would say, hey, Shaun, you've got to understand, doing good is good for business. Doing good is good for business. So that is a wonderful thing that I mean, I learned at Patagonia, and perhaps I've been doing it anyway, but I really that was evidenced with how Patagonia followed its path through business. And then last year I read Yvonne gave his company away, gave away his $6 billion company, gave it away to a nonprofit organization that is going to be fighting climate change. I'm mind blown. The biggest single environmental donation in history of the world. Company right here in 24 miles from where we live. Amazing.
Well, it's been great information. Is there any last thing you want to ask, Scott, before we?
Well, I actually have a something from you, Jonathan, and something from Shaun here, and it's about surfing. Jonathan, sometimes you refer to like when a person's like in their life that they're like surfing 3-foot waves. Mm-hmm. Life brings you, and you get good at surfing 3-foot waves, and you want to get better at something. You want to move on. You suggest surfing 4-foot waves, not like going for 20-foot waves.
Yeah.
And Shaun, and I think that's a way of saying you fall off the board. You end up underwater, you get crushed by the wave. There's problems with doing that. That may not be the best thing for a person to do. Shaun, that may be different for you because you can surf 20-foot waves, but you were used to surfing at least 16-foot waves before you surfed 20-foot waves.
Yeah, and absolutely. It's, when I think about my surfing career and I think about how many times I whacked out and how many times I fell, and in order to get to to that level, to where I wanted to be. But Jonathan, you said consistent motivation, and yes, surfing. We call it stoke. That feeling. You're stoked. That feeling of being highly motivated. Just a love for doing what you're doing. So I think for all of us, you find something that you're stoked about. I think the ride through life is just so much more meaningful and so much more fulfilling. I never thought I would sort of transition into this role. I mean, I was an athlete and then I was a businessman, and now, I write books and I speak to people. It's and try to share inspiration and purpose and hope. And I just didn't think I would go down that path, but I gave it a go. Australians have got a great expression, have a go. And it's like, just go for it, try it out. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? So yeah, it's been a good ride. Surfing has been just a wonderful source of inspiration to me. And I like to think that that I have helped people through surfing, even though they might not be surfers. I've helped people find that nature ride, find that nature wave, and ride it with a big stoked smile on their faces.
If people want to find out about your books or you, Shaun, what's the best way for them to contact?
The best way is just go to my website at shauntomson.com, ShaunTomson. Just go shauntomson.com, or and there's a lot of video, there's a lot of material there. My books are all on Amazon. the popular books are Surface Code was my first one. Then there was The Code, The Power of Our Will. And then my latest book called The Surfer and the Sage, written with a wonderful Santa Barbara author, Lao Ben Shia, who's actually having a premiere of his movie, Jacob the Baker, which is the world premieres, I think, in Los Angeles on Thursday. So wonderful to be connected with Lao. So the latest book was written during COVID. And when I was seeing this, what I call the sad mindset, stress, anxiety, depression, and disconnection, we wrote a book about how to transition from the negative state to the positive state, from despair to hope, from powerless to empowered. So every book's about a duality, 18 chapters, because 18 is a sacred number in Judaism. It's Chai, it means life. And so, I mean, if there's one last message, it's that, I'm praying for peace in Israel. And I'm hoping that people understand that there's a difference between morality and immorality. There's a difference between truth and lies. And there's a difference between values and valuelessness. And America, my father loved America, visited here a number of times, and he used to say, this country is God's country. And it is, but I cannot understand why so many young people especially are just losing sight of the unbelievable values upon which this great country was founded.
Well, thank you, Shaun. How can people get a hold of you, Scott?
Best is through email, scott@scottwilliams.com.
And may our listeners always be true to their code. And until next time, listen to us at Sweet Home Santa Barbara.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening. Please subscribe to our podcast on your favorite app. If you know someone preparing to sell their home, please tell them about the podcast. Visit scottwilliams.com to contact me and download the 2 free e-booklets, Is My House Saleable Now? And How Not to Buy a Money Pit. Thank you for listening.